All right, welcome to Last Night Breaking News. Julius Abure sacked as chairman of Labour Party to be replaced with the caretaker committee led by Nenadi Usman. Okay, yeah, what a twist.
Yeah, a big twist is giving us the weight that the doctrine of necessity has. You know, I kept saying that our democracy is still young. A lot of things have not been tested. If this judgment goes through to Supreme Court and it is upheld, so we are going to be able to know that the doctrine of necessity is strong enough in the administration of political parties to prevent lacuna, instead of the usual practice that INEC used to have by maintaining those there while electing new leaders once there is expiration of term. Now, the legal question that's going to come along the line is the constituent of this community. How were they arrived at? You know, in the future, do you just pick people from the neck? And how did you arrive at stakeholders? Should there be 3 pockets of interest or 3 pockets of shareholders, stakeholders? How would you arrive at that? So that is something the party will have to structure out with time. But let's focus on what this is for Obidients. It's not completely easy for Obidients at this time because a lot of them are already finding their ways into ADC and are trying to see how much they can help in getting P2B to be the primary win the primary election in ADC should other contenders not step down before that time. So now it's going to be like a mixed bag. Do they stay back to work with Nenadi, in labor, so that at the end of the day they can be consistent, having campaign in 2023 with Mama, Papa, Pikin, so that in 2027 it could still be the same thing, Mama, Papa, Pikin, and all that. So because now P2B, if he wins even in ADC, he's going to learn a new mantra and things like that. Inconsistency in some form is not as easy as you think. So it's a mixed bag for them. But no matter how you look at it, it's a plus for Nenadi. But I can tell you this case will be appealed. Okay, now Okafor emphasized on which the judge gave a standing reason for his judgment. He said the doctrine of necessity. From what I know as a political scientist, the doctrine of necessity comes in nations where you have to take a decision now. Now, there's no emergency of any sort in Labour Party that the doctrine of necessity had to come. There was no vacuum that they needed somebody to make a decision. So the doctrine of necessity, we don't know how it came about. There are no violence. This one fighting this one. The party is in disarray, and now the judge, Justice Lefu, saying that. Peter Lefu, something like that. That Peter Lefu, the doctrine of necessity. Now, from where they are now, Okafor also still just said that there's going to be an appeal of this judgment. I can assure you, there's going to be an appeal. So everything stands as it were. But this doctrine of necessity, how did it come about?
Okay, for me, it's, if you understand doctrine of necessity way, it might not be lawful. But there is a bridge you need to cover. So let me do something for you here. It's a doctrine of necessity. It's a legal principle. It's basically a justification for an action taken in emergency situation that will otherwise be unlawful. That means you could challenge it. It could be unlawful. That's what he's saying. I said, he wanted to say, he said, think of it like this. If you are in a situation where following the law could be more harm, you might be justified in breaking it to prevent a greater harm. What are they saying? For now, we've breached this thing. You still have the right to go on and appeal. But Labour was in shambles. Nobody knows direction. Yesterday, INEC recognized the person Abure-led Labour chose for governorship election in Anambra State. Few days down the line, the same Abure, the people he chose for Abuja local council election in Abuja here, was not recognized by INEC. So there is a lacuna that needed to be bridged. So leading Labour to be in Lambo is not the best. So a Nenadi-led critical committee might not be the best, might not be lawful, but it's serving a purpose. Labour can't just die. So that's why I'm saying for now, I need to invoke this to move this party forward. If Abure feels or if Abure doesn't feel okay with it, of course you should go and challenge it.
Okay, well, let's say he explained justice of necessity. Like I said, most of the time, justice of necessity are used in extreme cases where you get to the end of the road and there's no way to move forward. Most of the time, in a nation, what you have a justice of necessity, if you connote it that way, is what you call the executive order of the president.
Exactly.
Doesn't have to go through the legislative arm. Now, but on labor now, you were talking about what it now entails for the Obidient. Do you think the Obidient would dump labor?
Okay, let me put it this way. The essence of political parties is to serve the nation, allow the people, because we operate representative democracy, is to allow us elect our leaders. Now, to expose the government and judiciary, I think Nenadi should go ahead today, submit the list of INEC, a list of candidates for Abuja election, for Abuja Council's election, submit it today, no matter how they elected from, because this is a party issue. Once parties say, oh, these are our candidates, the chairman said, these are our candidates, they should go. Because issues of who wins primary or not has been seen to be party affairs. You understand? No. So if Nenadi has candidates that they can submit to INEC to participate in this election, then the people will be happy about that. Because in all these wins and losses, meanwhile, people can't contest under labor. It's doing nobody any good. It's doing nobody any good. And why not accusing the ruling government? It could be a genius for ruling government to keep them in checks. Today they dance towards Nenadi, tomorrow they dance towards Abure, just to keep them in perpetual comatose. Because once you are not able to submit the list of your candidates to INEC for an election, why are you existing as a political party? Not winning an election at some particular time used to be a benchmark for parties to be deregistered, and I think it's still there. I don't have it verbatim, but it's still there's a requirement like that.
But okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think that INEC, as we know them to be now, will take this judgment and effect it immediately?
Especially you know, once there's a stay execution, if there's before, that's why I say now. Exactly. If they didn't delay, once it gets to a point where there's a stay of execution, which in most cases automatically comes with appeal, then INEC may have to say, oh, there is a stay of execution.
No, but from what we know that there's.
If they don't appeal, for example, if they don't appeal, INEC has no option.
To recognize. No, but is INEC we have now? Do they follow suit like that?
No, if they don't appeal, but if they don't appeal this case, is the final law. INEC has no option.
Now, Peter, let me come to you. Now, INEC in its own organization and structure also has problems with taking judgment from the court and effecting it immediately, and they are rigmaroling around what should be and what should not be. The gap is too wide. Do you think they will abide by this?
Amopido said his own INEC will be different from others what we know.
But it has not been different.
This is a test of it. We will know by this. Like if Nenadi could submit his candidates to INEC, if they don't get him access to that portal, that means they don't obey court laws. As of today, the court has pronounced that she is the authentic chairman of the Labour Party, and if INEC denies her the code to upload her candidates, that means they don't obey the court law, which is a bad precedent for us. That is a bad place to be. Our court system, we should look at them. We should look at them very well, because we've had Supreme Court rule on these things that is internal affairs of the party. So when courts attend to some of these cases, it throws a lot of confusion. Now they give the excuse that now they need to save this party. That's what they're invoking doctrine of necessity, which by itself might not be lawful. So until Nenadi Abure appeals it, that is the law as of today.
All right, one thing that if this law stands to Supreme Court, one thing that everybody's going to look at is how the committee that brought Nenadi up was established? You know, was it the neck of the party which is expired? Because once Abune's tenure is expired, certainly the neck under his leadership is expired.
So was there a vacuum?
Except that somebody is assumed to, because when you see the membership of NEC, it is not only by the national officers, it includes the elected governors, elected House of Rep members, elected senators,
all officials,
all state chairmen of the parties and all that. So if only Abure's tenure was what was expiring or what got expired, and the NEC was legally formed as at that time to bring out the skeptical committee under the law of necessity, it's going to fly, it's going to go through, and people will be able to understand that if this happens tomorrow, this could be the way for it to be established. But if the committee that brought Nenadi up was just picked, Oti, you are a big man, the other one, yes, you are a good LP follower, it was kangaroo put together, it's going to create confusion in the future, because in the future you can have more than 10 different interests who will now lay claim to, under the doctrine of necessity, to appoint any leader. So,
exactly. These are the gray areas we need to, that needs to come to light.
Also, we also need to see the wordings of the CTC of this court judgment before we can get the details of everything.
Maybe along the line we'll try to invite any member of the party of whether the Nenadi led new caretaker committee and the Abure side. But still on that, we'll keep you updated on how the matter is.